Okay, we're recording.
All right.
Cool. So we have a few questions that we've asked. This is how many of these have we done, Marilyn? I've lost track.
He's the last of the city council.
Okay, all right.
So I'm
All
6 of
right.
6.
You're the newest, so
Okay, all right.
welcome.
Thank you very much.
So Marilyn will start off with the first question, and we're just gonna kind of alternate here.
Okay.
Well, and I'm hopeful that you're knowledgeable of the League of Women Voters and that we're nonpartisan, and our real mission is to educate the citizens of Smith County about how their government works, and to introduce them with these conversations, we're hoping to introduce them to their city council person, and just to get some ideas about what you think. And so I'm going to start with the housing issues. And as you know, affordable housing and government funding for affordable housing has been historically a problem in Smith County. And that contributes to the frustration of buyers, renters, contributes to homelessness. And COVID naturally exacerbated that whole scenario. So can you give us some thoughts about how you think the city is addressing the need for affordable housing?
Sure. Well, let me first start off by saying the city is not a housing authority, so it's really not our job to get involved with housing authority type issues of setting rates and setting prices. But with that being said, we do have some programs that are currently going on to help address this issue. There are 4 different types of grants that people can apply for some type of government assistance. I have the actual names written down of those if you want those off the top of my head. I don't have the ins and outs of those programs memorized, but I do have a general idea of those 4 different ones if y'all want to talk about those. But just on an overview area, those 4 types of programs are going on. And then currently we have the Hidden Palace project, where there are 11 homes being built up by the new fire station on the north side of town, fire station number 1. That street behind that fire station, the city has partnered with some private entities to have 11 homes built up there. So that's another avenue. And then what I hope to see, since the city is not a housing authority, is that Tyler is blessed with a tremendous and vital nonprofit sector. And so I hope to see some partnerships with the city, with the private sector, and with nonprofit organizations to help address these issues.
What kind of partnerships would you see happening? What
kind of partnerships?
Mm-hmm.
Well, 2 of them come to mind: the Highway 80 Rescue Mission, St. Paul Children's Foundation. I'm actually personally involved with St. Paul. I think both of those faith-based organizations have tremendous outreach and tools at their disposal that they can help address these issues, whether it be education assistance, faith-based ministry programs to help the individuals in need and get to the root of the problems, instead of just providing a handout type solution.
And the city's role in that would be what? Just
fostering those relationships, bringing everybody to the table. I don't think it's the city's role to provide the necessary funding for those issues. But I think it's building those bridges to ensure that everybody has a place to come together and discuss those ideas, to have the tools available to reach those solutions that are necessary.
Direct people to those programs.
Correct.
Okay. All right, Rubye.
Thank you. Healthcare question. So Tyler is known for having some of the most outstanding healthcare facilities and resources in Texas, no doubt.
Absolutely.
But due to the economic impact of COVID, what challenges do you see people are having gaining access to healthcare in Smith County, as certainly this Delta variant has created another level of concern and,
Sure.
and need. But again, what challenges do you see people are having gaining access to healthcare here?
Personally, I haven't really seen any challenges that anybody is having to access, except for, we're provided with current numbers for obviously those that test positive for COVID, those that receive the COVID vaccine, but also those numbers for hospital bed availability at the two main hospitals here in Tyler. So during our two monthly city council meetings, Dr. McGahey provides a COVID update about the vaccination status, and the Net Health provides an update as well. So personally, I haven't really seen anybody that has been restricted to receiving healthcare except for the hospital bed numbers. If hospital beds are taken up, then obviously some of those elective procedures are having to be put on hold, and maybe some other procedures or emergent care is not able to be addressed because the hospitals are full. I think Tyler's done a great job of getting the message out to get vaccinated, providing locations for free vaccines for everybody across not just Tyler, but Smith County in general.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm glad we have those programs going on. I made this announcement last Wednesday. I'm fully vaccinated. My wife is fully vaccinated, so I support the vaccine. I rely on the medical professionals and my friends in the medical industry for my information because I don't have a medical background.
Right.
So that's not something that is my expertise to come out and say, yes, get vaccinated, don't get vaccinated type deal. And so I rely on those experts. And so I am fully vaccinated and think that is a benefit, not just to my family, but to the community as well. I disagree with some of the programs for providing rebates for people to get vaccinated, but I think the message out there is clear, and I'm in agreement with we need to get vaccinated. But it's somebody's choice. We can't force that onto somebody. If they don't want to get vaccinated, that's completely up to them. And it's not our duty or responsibility to tell them that. But with that being said, I think things are trending in the right direction. And it looks like hospital capabilities are getting to the point where other medical emergencies are being addressed, not just the Delta variant. So to wrap it back up, personally, I really haven't seen where somebody's been restricted to some type of healthcare assistance that is needed right now.
Okay,
Thank you.
well, thank you. We'll move on to public improvements. And so as new development occurs, would you consider a user fee on developers to cover increased service costs for, say, libraries, police, fire, parks? And if not a fee to the developer, then how would we cover those increased costs, do you think?
So your question is timing is pretty relevant. Just last week, the city approved and adopted the 2022 budget. And in that budget, we approved an increase in the new residential construction developer fees from 25 cents to 35 cents.
Mm-hmm.
And it's directly on point with that because of the new development going on. And the expansion of the city reach for addressing safety of the citizens, fire response with the increased traffic and increased residents here in Tyler. That question is pretty relevant with timing. So that did just take place.
Good.
It raised it. That 10 cents puts us a little higher than Lubbock, a little higher than Waco, but we're still well below state average. We're below cities comparable sizes like Abilene. A lot of the cities around the DFW Metroplex, like Denton, Richardson, Plano, College Station even. So there's a lot of cities that are still higher than us. And so we're still in a feasible rate where development can still be fostered and not hindered. But at the same time, we're able to capture some extra revenue to provide those services.
Well, that's very interesting.
That's great. That's good news, definitely. So quality of life. I'm sorry, go ahead. I didn't mean to cut
I
you
was going to say, if y'all wanted a full detail of the budget, the city council meeting from last Wednesday has a full outline of everything that was adopted in that 22 budget.
Okay.
Oh, okay, great. Great. Thank you. Quality of life issue, a question, not issue. So looking forward to, again, we're 2021 is Christmas is almost here.
It's crazy. So, October is at the end of this week.
It's like it's moving. So looking forward to next year and beyond. What do you believe are the greatest challenges with respect to ensuring a good quality of life for all residents in your district specifically?
So in my district specifically, I think some of the main issues, if not the main issue, is going to be traffic control, traffic congestion, especially up and down that old Jacksonville highway corridor. I think District 1, if it's not the top one, then I think it's in the top 2 for growth and expansion in the city. I think most of our growth is down in that southwest region of the city. So that old Jacksonville corridor has become extremely busy, extremely congested. I know the state wants to come in, since it is a state-controlled highway, the state wants to come in and put some overpasses along that corridor. After talking with a bunch of the residents in that area, it's clear that the residents don't want an overpass. And a lot of the businesses up and down Old Jacksonville Highway do not want an overpass. So I'm against the overpass issue. And I know that was addressed at the MPO meetings a month and a half or so ago. And thankfully that's not going to go forward, that overpass possibility at the Loop and Old Jacksonville Highway. But just because the overpass isn't the right answer doesn't mean that there aren't other solutions out there, whether it be widening Old Jacksonville Highway to create a third lane of travel in each direction, and some other possibilities like that. And so I think it's working with the state to get those correct solutions in place to ensure that the congestion problem on Old Jacksonville Highway is addressed.
Yes,
the one thing you don't want to do, I've told several people this. I said if you build an overpass, you're going to solve your traffic problem right there, because all the businesses will cease to exist.
exactly.
Therefore, nobody's going to travel up and down Old Jacksonville Highway, and you solved your traffic problem right there. So I hope the overpass is not the correct response. From everything that I've seen visiting with all the businesses right there, and especially the residents up and down Old Jacksonville Highway, they're very adamant that an overpass is not the answer.
And is that something that goes to a vote, or how does that work?
Not really on city council. It's more of the Metropolitan Planning Group that NPO that has, I think it's composed of the mayor, city manager, county judge.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
I think the Lindale mayor is on there. Not a random, but a one developer from the area, and I think it rotates who that is, and then two TxDOT individuals. And with Old Jacksonville Highway being a state highway, anything that is done with or on that road is a TxDOT issue. And so I know they have their leverage and control of what they want to do. But at the same time, because of the relationship that TxDOT has with the city of Tyler, they obviously communicate with us and ask for our input, so that they don't just come in and do something that is not warranted or not wanted here in the city.
Okay.
So the hope is they definitely listen to what the residents want. Yeah,
I hope so.
definitely.
Okay, let's move to voting and elections.
Sure.
And as you know, in 2020, we had a really good turnout, a good election. And for most of the national type elections, the general elections, we do have good turnout, but local elections are a whole other thing. And
Yes,
we've
they
got coming up in November amendments. And I can tell you that they're not very sexy, and a lot of people are not going to be prepared to go turn out to vote
Sure.
on those. But as you know, those elections, those local elections are so very critical to our daily lives. So I have a
Absolutely.
two-part question.
Okay.
What can you do or what can the community do to emphasize to the general public here in Tyler how important those elections are? How can we get them out to vote?
Sure. I'll start off by saying, if you look at the past, the May 2020 results out of the 3 districts, and I apologize, my phone's ringing in the background if you hear that, and it's causing some noise overlap. But if you look at those voting results and looking at the 3 different districts, my race had the highest voter turnout. I think it was right at 1,000. If my memory serves me correctly, I think it was 999 to be exact, but don't quote me on that. But it was somewhere right around in there. And then the other 2 districts were at about 700, right in there each. And so it was a clear distinction between the 3 of our districts and voter turnout. And what I think contributed to that is just what I did to get the voter turnout. It was constant messaging, constant interaction, constant reminders. I made sure I had a different type event, if not each week, once every other week, where I was in front of a group of prospective voters, whether it was at a luncheon, whether it was speaking to a group, whether it was a campaign event, raising money at a fundraiser type deal. Something where I was out in front of people, constantly reminding them of how important it is to get out and vote, because in a local election, 20 or 30 votes could determine the outcome of an election. And so it's hammering that message home of the importance of voter turnout for a local election, because that's really where your vote matters. A lot of people think, especially on the state and national level, that Texas is going to go Republican. I don't need to vote in this race. My vote really doesn't matter, just because of the outcome. And same can be said for a person that wanted to vote Democrat. State's going to go Republican. No need for me to vote, because my vote's going to get washed by 3-1 type deal. But on the local scale, it's completely different, because 1 vote, 10 votes, 20 votes really matters And like you said, that turnout is key. And so it's getting people out to the polls by just constant reminders. During the 2 weeks of early voting leading up to that May 1st election date, I think if you look back on my cell phone bill, you'll see that I was constantly texting people and constantly calling people. I saw in the voter rolls, you haven't voted yet, go out and vote. This is your reminder to get out and vote. Bring your spouse. There were some families that had their kids old enough to vote, where bring your spouse, bring those kids that are able to vote. And so it's just being on the phone every day, reminding people of how important it is to get out and vote.
So it takes a lot of work.
Takes time.
And of course, that's one of the things that the league believes is really important, is getting people out to vote, but also educated about the issues and the candidates. Just for your information, you might be interested to know that tomorrow is National Voter Registration Day.
That is correct. I already knew that.
Okay, great.
Yep. I know y'all are nonpartisan, but I know the Smith County Republican Party is having signups and information available at their location. I don't know about if the Smith County Democratic Party is doing that or not. I'm not a member of them or follow them like I do the Smith County Republican Party. But I do know the Smith County Republican Party is having signups all day tomorrow.
And we've got about, what, Rubye, 8 locations that we and the county are doing together. So hopefully we'll get people. But one of the things, and you touched on this before, is that when we're out in the community, people tell us, well, why should I register to vote? And why should I go vote? Because my vote doesn't count. And, you know, that's one of the hardest to convince people. And your information about the local elections is certainly meat that we can use, but national elections are so important too. It's just making sure that people really feel relevant and they feel as though, you know, educating themselves and going to the polls is something that they should do as a citizen.
Absolutely. And I think it's important, especially on the local elections, because our residents and our constituents, I think, have a lot better capability of picking up the phone and calling us and directly talking to us about a specific issue. I think the accessibility on the city council level is a lot easier for a resident in the city to access. And so it is important that that message is delivered. Hey, you know, your vote matters, your opinion matters. You can pick up the phone and call us and talk to us about an issue, talk to us about your concerns. And we love to work with you to have those issues and concerns addressed.
Do you feel like the people in your district know how to get in touch with you?
Oh, absolutely. I have maintained my campaign Facebook page and turned it into a tool that I've used while on council to get the message out about different items, whether it needs somebody's input. The overpass was one. When TxDOT said, okay, we want public input, here's the website you go to submit your input. Well, with TxDOT sending that out, that's great. And it's probably not going to reach the people it needs to reach, though. And so I specifically took that and put it on my campaign, which is now my city council Facebook page. So residents in District 1 who follow me knew where to go and submit their input.
Okay.
And then likewise for different events that are happening around the city and different issues. I'm constantly updating that on social media to keep residents of District 1 knowledgeable and aware of what is going on. And then, I mean, there's no hiding our contact information. The city has it up on their website, and so people can email us and call us at any time. and we try to get back as quickly as possible when somebody reaches out to us.
Great.
Thank you.
Also, my work information, my professional information is out there on the.
You can't
on the
hide,
internet.
can
So
you?
all somebody has to do is Google my name. They can find me.
Can find you.
That's exactly right.
Oh, okay, last two questions.
Yes, ma'am.
Criminal justice question.
Uh-oh.
So how will you and the city council support police officers as they face the most challenging law enforcement environment in our lifetime, in
Absolutely.
terms of maintaining and building trusting relationships with the community and with race relations?
Sure. So let me answer this in a two-part answer. First, on addressing the needs of first responders, police and fire, and then on the community relations, race relations part. If you look at that 2022 budget that I mentioned earlier, the local property tax was raised right at a penny from the 25 point something. There's like 4 different decimal places per 100 up to 26. So it's right at a penny increase, but about 88% of that increase, which is why this is important, why I supported the increase, because I'm, I don't hide it. I'm a proponent of low taxes and conservative growth. But the reason I supported that increase was 88% of that increase went to the civil service departments and went to those first responders. It's allowing the city to bring on 2 new firefighters, a new tower truck, which is a little different than a ladder truck, and then 2 new police officers, 1 police officer, not counting the 2 additional ones, but 1 position for a specific outreach officer for the homeless population, homeless issues. We're going to have 1 police officer dedicated to those issues, which will help and kind of address some of those other concerns in that first question you asked me. And then in addition to not just the new personnel, the new police officers and firefighters, but it allows both departments to have some new equipment, especially on the firefighters. They get some new breathing and protective gear apparatuses for that department. So one of the platforms that I ran on when running was providing the necessary funding for those departments. And so even though I ran on a low tax and conservative growth platform, I still have to balance that with providing for those first responders, which is just as important. And with the city growing as it is, those new population numbers that are going to come out at the end of the year, looking right at 106,000 roughly. And so that's some significant growth. Personally, I thought it was going to be a little more, but at the same time, I'm not surprised just because during COVID, not sure how many people answered the survey, the census survey, or even answered their door to the person that knocked at the door to answer the census survey. So I can understand that the number might not be entirely accurate, but it still represents some good growth in the city. And so providing for the first responders is a top priority of mine. And I'm glad to see that our 2022 budget allows us to do that. I take great pride in the support that I have for our police department and our fire department.
So
And
do
then
you
dovetailing
see in your interactions with the police officers, law enforcement officers, are you hearing conversations or seeing some additional strategies again for dealing with race relations? Are you seeing or hearing?
So that was going to be dovetailing that into the next part of my answer. One of the things that I know the city was involved with prior to COVID, which I don't think has taken place since, that I hope that the city reinstates, is those community night outs with holding a different event at a different church, where city leaders and the police department can get together with local residents in each different district.
Yeah.
Because I think one thing that the city of Tyler has that maybe other cities don't have is a great open dialogue and great open communications. And that's the key to ensuring that everything remains as it is here in Tyler. We have, I think, great community relations across the board. And it's because of that open dialogue and open communications where nobody's hiding from anybody. And it goes back to how all of our contact information is available. Anybody can access us at any time. And it's having that open dialogue where nothing can fester behind the scenes to the point where it boils up and it's a major problem. It's able to be resolved prior to it becoming too big of a problem where it can't be handled. And so I think that's key. I think continuing that is going to be the key moving forward.
Okay, one last question. And you made reference to the census, and we have redistricting on the agenda for the city council right now.
Correct.
Can you share your thoughts about how the process is moving and what you think will happen?
Sure. So we have our first open session meetings coming up. I want to say the first one is at the end of October. I don't have my calendar pulled up in front of me right now, but I want to say it's at the end of October, which it should be at the end of that city council meeting. I think we're going to have 3 of those. Sorry, my email just opened up in front of me. We're going to have, I believe, 3 of those where public comments are welcome, and I hope a lot of comments are provided. The more public input we have, the more of an informed decision we can make. We've hired, I believe his name is David. Can't remember his last name, but that law firm out of Austin who's handling not just city council districts, but the county precincts and also the school board. He's handling all 3 for our area. And I know we were looking to get started beginning of October, but I know some of the stuff that he's going to be doing for the county has pushed our timeline back a little. And so that's why I think ours starts at the end of October. With those public information meetings, I know there's going to be obviously a lot of diagrams and information that he provides of obviously current boundary lines, where the population has changed, where the population density has changed. And so how those districts need to be populated differently. So all the districts have roughly the same number, and it's probably around 20,000 or so residents. And so it's going to be getting the input from citizens of, I think this street should be in this district, or this neighborhood is more homogeneous with this district instead of this neighborhood. And so I want to hear that feedback from the residents. But at the same time, I know there's been issues presented to us or questions presented to us about delegating a specific committee to do something. And that's something that I'm not a proponent of, because the residents and our constituents in the districts, that's one of the things they voted us to do. We are that representative to be able to vote on something. And that is why we have as many open forums and public meetings to get that input from all the residents. And so I hope and encourage the public to attend those meetings so their opinions can be heard. I'll take, for example, during the budget process, we held 2 public meetings on that, and not a single person got up and spoke in opposition or in favor for it. And so we have to rely on our individual conversations that we have with people, asking them about the budget. And so we have to go out and talk to people instead of sitting back and doing nothing. Because if we don't do that, then, we might not know what people are thinking, since a lot of times they don't want to come forward and attend a public meeting or talk at a public meeting.
True.
And so I encourage people to come out and talk to us.
And the league is going to help you with that. We have a redistricting chair, that, well, actually 2 chairs, and they're wanting to bring the community together to have discussions about redistricting, understand the process, understand how the city council's working through getting to the end of that. And we're encouraging people to have their voices heard. If they feel like there are some things that need to be addressed, then we want them to feel comfortable.
Calendar really quickly, and I can get the date of that. Let's see. I want to say it's going to be October 27th. After that city council meeting, will be one of the first public. I think that is the case. Yeah, I think it might be October 27th will be the first one, and then.
And I presume those will be advertised and promoted. Those
correct. They'll be when we post city council agendas. I believe they'll be posted on that or posted separately.
Well, my hope would be that it would be maybe a newspaper article or something, because not everybody goes to your city council agenda to take a look at what's going to come up. I wish that we all did that, but I don't think it happens. And so something that would be pretty public would be encouraged, so that people know.
And going back on to what I said earlier, I'll also have, when it gets closer, those dates posted
On your
on
Facebook.
my social media.
Yeah.
So I know the residents in District 1 will know about it. So yes, hopefully it's the other council members are doing the same thing too, and letting their residents know.
Okay, well, we want to really thank you for spending the time with us this morning.
Absolutely.
And I thought we had some really good responses to our inquiries, so appreciate it.
They were informative and enough detail to
learn some things.
Definitely.
Any final thoughts that you want to share?
I would say I'm extremely honored to be the representative for District 1. I hope my residents feel just as honored to have me as their representative, and that I'm doing the job that they called me to do. And so I'm honored and proud to be their representative.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Thank y'all very much. Appreciate y'all.
Have a good rest of your day.
Yeah.
Thank you, y'all too.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.